Buongiorno, and welcome to another exciting edition of Meet Your Neighbor. My name is Ron Falconi. I had this idea back in the fall of 2006 where I wanted to interview local leaders, local business people, so that all of you can have the opportunity to meet your neighbor. We have a very, very special guest today. She is a judge on Ohio's 9th District Court of Appeals, and her name is Jen Hensal. Judge, welcome to the studios. Welcome to Brunswick.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
How are you doing today?
Doing well, doing well.
Judge, you know that in the past I've had guests who were, county commissioners or state representatives and even judges, but you're an appellate judge.
That's true.
Can you tell the audience what does an appellate judge do?
An appellate judge hears appeals that come out of the trial courts in the district where the appellate judge sits.
Okay, and so for example, if someone was unhappy with their trial judge or the result of the case that happened in the trial court level, so if they're not happy with it, they appeal it and go up to your level, right?
That's right. They file an appeal and they file a brief arguing why they think things didn't go the way they were supposed to at the trial court level, and then they have the opportunity to come before the panel of appellate judges and argue for 15 minutes aside to tell us in more their own words, of course, orally to argue, to tell us why we should reverse the decision of the trial court below.
How many appellate judges are there?
There are 5 appellate judges in the 9th district. There are 12 districts in the state. Each district has a different number of appellate judges, but you have 5 in the 9th District Court of Appeals.
Okay, and the 9th District Court of Appeals, now we're here in Medina County, so what other counties does the 9th District also encompass?
Sure. Lorain County, Wayne County, Summit County are the 3 other counties that the 9th District covers.
Okay. And how long have you been a judge?
I am finishing up my first term as an appellate judge, so there are 6-year terms, and I'm running for re-election for another 6-year term. They are so I'm about 5.5 years at this point.
Okay, and how did you become one? What are the requirements for being a judge?
Well, you need to be a lawyer who is licensed to practice law in the state of Ohio for a number of years. Obviously, in order to become that, you have a law degree prior to taking the bar exam and passing it and being admitted to the bar of the state of Ohio.
Can you describe your educational background?
Sure. I went to the University of Akron for my undergraduate education. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Business and Organizational Communication. And then I went to the University of Toledo for my law degree.
Oh, okay. And then how many people work for you in court?
Well, each of the 5 judges has 2 judicial attorneys assigned to them.
Okay.
We have a court administrator, a magistrate. We also have other attorneys who work on a docket and on original actions, which are not appeals. They are actions that are filed in the first instance in the Court of Appeals. So the 9th District Court of Appeals has between 20 and 25 employees.
Okay. And then how do if people are, like as we mentioned before, people are unhappy or they wanted to appeal the trial court decision, do you get to decide which cases you hear? Because I know that in the Ohio Supreme Court and even the U.S. Supreme Court, those judges or justices can decide, well, I don't feel like hearing that, or we decide not to hear this. Do you have that option?
We don't, and that's a very important question, because the reality is, for most cases, after the trial court level and our level, which is the next level up, the appellate court, we're the court of last resort for most cases. So,
what's a typical day for you like?
Our days are spent reading, researching, and writing. We do have oral argument on a regular basis, twice a week usually. We hear generally about 6 cases on the days that we sit. So
what days do you guys sit?
It's Tuesday. Currently it's Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Sometimes we have an emergency filing that has to be heard, and so we would maybe sit on a day other than Tuesdays or Thursdays. But generally we sit Tuesday or Thursday, and we sit in the county where the case originated. So if it originated in Medina County, we would be sitting in the Common Pleas courtroom in Medina County.
Though, if it was in another county, do you have places where the appellate judges go then to hear the cases?
That's right. So 3 judges sit on every case. So if we had a case originating in Lorain County, we would be sitting in the Justice Center in the probate courtroom out in Lorain County. And same with Wayne, we would be sitting in their common pleas court. We have our own courtroom in Summit County where we hear cases coming out of Summit County.
So you have your own courtroom there.
That's correct.
Okay.
Most of our cases come out of Summit County, so it's the larger part of our docket.
Okay. You said there are five judges. So if 3 of them are on the bench, what are the other 2 doing?
They are working. They're working with their research and writing. They're working with their judicial attorneys. They may be conferencing on a case that they had prior to that day. But yes, and they're always working. We are very fortunate. We have iPads with all the law and all of our briefs and drafts.
How do you decide which judges sit on which case?
That is a random assignment.
Random assignment.
The judges do not take a part in that. And our calendar is set at the beginning of the year. Now, there may be some conflicts. There may be a reason why a judge can't sit on a case. So there may be some changes throughout the year, but it's a random assignment.
Okay. And then I know that one judge usually writes the opinion. Do you guys decide that as you're writing, or did you decide that beforehand, or what happens there?
That's a really good question. What happens is if we heard 6 cases on a Tuesday, immediately after we hear those cases, we go and we conference regarding those cases about a preliminary indication of which way one of the 3 would thought the case should go. But when we sit, we already have an author judge assigned.
Okay.
Sometimes that changes if the author judge ends up in disagreement with the other 2 members of the panel.
Okay. What about if you're like a lawyer for the first time and you're appearing before the 9th District? Do you have any advice for them or for people who are filing themselves or pro se?
Right. The most important thing I can say is go to the 9th District Court of Appeals website. We have sample briefs. Of course, you can link to our local rules, which you should read. We have pointers. All the time deadlines are there. It's very, very good resource for individuals coming to the Court of Appeals. In addition to that, we tape all of our oral arguments and we put them on YouTube.
Okay.
So if you want to watch an oral argument, probably make you feel a little bit more comfortable, you can go to YouTube, and you can link to that as well through our website.
So there's the attorneys then have 15 minutes, I'm assuming, to make their case?
Right.
And then while the 15 minutes is going on, the 3 judges then pepper that person with questions?
Some judges have more questions than others, and some cases will draw more questions than other cases. So yes, we have the opportunity to ask questions, and they have 15 minutes in which to present their oral argument. So
wonderful. Judge, for every guest I have on the show, I always like to play a game of fill in the blank.
Okay.
When I was a child, I blank.
When I was a child, I lived in the country.
In the country?
Yes.
Where? Which?
I lived out on a road that borders Wayne County and Medina County.
Okay, so you're a local girl then.
That's right.
What about the place I want to travel to is blank?
Oh, there are so many wonderful places to go.
Sure.
I and my husband have traveled fairly extensively, but 2 places we haven't been yet. We haven't been to the African continent, and we haven't been to Southeast Asia.
That's
so
wonderful. Any place in particular in Africa or Southeast Asia you wanted to go to?
Oh, I would love to go down on the savannah in Africa and
nice.
Go on a safari and see the animals.
That would be wonderful.
Southeast Asia, there are, of course, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam. I mean, just so much to see.
Oh yes. It's been a while since I've been to the Philippines because my ethnic background is Filipino.
Right,
so.
right.
Judge, you mentioned also. Can you tell me a little bit about your family?
Oh, I am married to an attorney.
Okay.
We live in the city of Akron, and he has 2 adult children, so it's just us at home now.
Wonderful. Judge, do you have any neighborly advice to people watching right now in Brunswick, Brunswick Hills, Wadsworth Township, or perhaps people watching on the internet right now?
Sure. I would probably be remiss if I didn't mention that we have an election coming up. I'm on the ballot, so that would be some advice I would give to vote for Judge Hensal. But the important thing about a judicial race is a lot of individuals don't know the judges. They're not informed about the judges that are on the ballot, so they don't vote for the judges. So it's important to become informed about who's on the ballot so you can make an informed decision when you vote, either early, in an early voting situation, or on November the 6th.
Judge Hensal, thanks so much for coming out
Oh, it was a
to
pleasure.
Brunswick and chatting with us about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Ron Falconi. I'm the host of Meet Your Neighbor. I wanted to thank Judge Hensal for coming out here to Brunswick and chatting with us for a little bit. I doubt there's anything more profound to be said. My name is Ron Falconi, and I'm signing off. Arrivederci.